Alright you guys, how's it going? So today we're going to do, well, this is going to be sort of a series, if you will. So my truck is about to hit 190,000 miles. I'm getting close to that 200. And I'm going to start doing just some basic preventative things to make sure I don't have any hiccups down the road. So the main topic of all of these, and hopefully it's going to be in like a succession. If not, it'll be kind of scattered and maybe I'll make a playlist for it. But sort of one by one, I've got two on the bench right now, but I'm going to be replacing all of my sensors, the valuable ones, the ones that you really need or would like to know. So this one's going to be on the camshaft position sensor. And then the next time I do an oil change, which is probably going to be within the month, maybe a month and a half, I'm going to do the oil pressure switch sensor. And because I don't want to get a false indication just because the sensor died. So like I said, it's just because my truck's getting up there in mileage, not necessarily age. This truck is, holy crap, this truck's 10 years old now. Damn, time flies. So yeah, the truck's 10 years old and it's coming up on 190,000 miles. And I'm just going to start doing all of my basic preventative things. And yeah. So there's nothing wrong with the truck. The truck runs fine, beautifully, still same old thing. This is just the preventative side of me making sure I'm not going to lose anything. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. Everything that I'm going to do today is going to be sourced off of All Data DIY as normal. And you can pick up a subscription to this fairly cheap. And like my Lincoln outside and this 5 years for this was like 86 bucks. So fairly cheap. So I get that for 5 years for less than 100 bucks on 2 vehicles. So we're going to go ahead and get started and just go through step by step so you know how to do it, and we'll give you all the torque specs, procedures, all that. Alright, so the very first step is to disconnect the negative battery, your ground cable. So it's an 8mm bolt or nut. Just going to loosen it in a few turns. And before I disconnect that, just to be on the precautionary side to make sure nothing happens, I'm going to grab a rag and fold it into fours and act as an insulator so that accidentally nothing happens. So, do this, and there you go. That way we know that that terminal is not going to land back on the post and spark and yeah, all that good stuff. So then the very next thing that we're going to do is disconnect a vacuum hose from the intake manifold. So there's a vacuum, the camshaft position sensor is located in the very back of this engine. This is the 2.34 cylinder. And so we come over here, really bright light. I love this thing. Who is this by? PowerTac? Yeah. So there's your vacuum line right in there. So just go in here, and you might hear a hiss. Or not. I guess there's just no vacuum built up right now. So that's disconnected. Make sure that obviously we go back and put it back in. And the sensor, I'm hoping I can get you down in here. It's kind of buried under everything. Maybe my light's not really helping right now. Maybe just a little bit of light. It's underneath this wire loom right here, that big fat one. You'll see a single bolt and one pigtail harness coming off of it, and it's a 2-wire sensor. So maybe once I get my extension and everything down there, you'll be able to see it. But that's not actually the harness. That's the vacuum line. But we'll get the extension down there, and hopefully you guys will be able to see it. I'm trying to look at the screen at a really weird angle, but it's down there. So very top of the valve cover gasket at the rear. And yeah, so, and then just for reference, like this is what the sensor looks like. So, and here's the part number. And I ordered both of this and the oil pressure sender. I ordered these, sorry, it's my dehumidifier. I ordered these on Rock Auto, and both, including shipping, was only 26 bucks. So these things are pretty cheap from Rock Auto, but that's our sensor. So, yep. Alright, so next thing we're going to do, I already went ahead and did it. I disconnected my MAP sensor, my manifold absolute pressure sensor, this guy. And the only way I can actually get, I just wanted to verify the size of the socket before I go ahead and start, but it's an 8mm. But the only way I can actually fit it in there, basically underneath the firewall, is to get a 3/8, and that looks like a 6-inch extension with a 3/8 to 1/4-inch reducer, followed by my 8mm socket. So the next step is to actually disconnect the sensor. And since I couldn't even see it before, I'm not really going to even bother trying to get you guys down there, because sorry, it's a big camera. But I just need to get in here and actually disconnect the sensor. So long as I can get to it. But this fat wiring harness is in the way. And yeah, there it is. Yeah, I'm just going to take the sensor off first and hope I can get enough slack on the pigtail. So, let me get this down. Maybe shoot myself. Come on, baby. So I got it on the bolt. Actually, before I continue with this, since this does lead down into my engine, I'm going to be a little bit safe here, and I'm going to tighten this back down, and I'm going to blast this whole area with compressed air, because this is a vertical surface with a huge gaping hole that's going to appear. So, and I see a little bit of dust in here. So I'm going to blast this whole area with some compressed air first, and I just lost my socket, of course. Why not? Just add to it. And I swear to God, if I lose my 8mm right now. Alright, so I got some air pressure. We're going to give her a quick little toot back here. There we go. Should be all nice and clean now. So, go ahead. Try to get this sensor bolt undone. I'm tightening. So she's completely unscrewed. Now I'm going to fish my fingers in here to grab the bolt. And there she is. And I'm just going to pull up straight up as I can. best as I can with this frickin' harness in the way. Okay, so she's up. And out. So now I'm going to try to fish the sensor up this way. Hopefully so you guys can see it. But there she is. And she's looking nasty, man. Look at that. Nice. Alright. There you go. There is your cam position sensor. Yeah, I hate the back sensors. But, yeah, there's your sensor. So she's looking nice and yummy. But, yeah, so, sorry, I'm just giving her a once over and just making sure I don't see anything that's alarming. Definitely some interesting colored oil. Metal flakes off of that though. I mean, this that sensor's been in there for 10 years. So, but just to give you a side-by-side comparison of new versus old here. Oh, this is the new sensor versus the old one. And I know the lighting sucks. I'm going to move you guys because I don't want to muffle myself with a flashlight in my mouth. Yeah. So here's the new sensor. Nice and pretty. And the old sensor. I don't hear any rattling or anything, so that's good. But they obviously they both look the same. And so my advice, as with pretty much everything, and it's definitely the direction I'm trying to go, is please do yourself a favor and buy the Motorcraft parts, because who's to say there wasn't a TSB or something that the engineers found to be wrong with this sensor? Well, aftermarket can only go so far. They can tear these things down and reverse engineer them all they want, but you know, like I said, who's to say that maybe there was actually something wrong with this sensor? Maybe they made this sensor a little bit more robust, or just a slight calibration change to something that the PCM sees something different out of this sensor. So when you're buying from Ford, you're like, it's guaranteed that you're going to I'm trying to put this into words that make sense, that the vehicle is going to run exactly how it was designed. I had the exact same problem with my wife's old Expedition. I'm sure you guys remember it, the 98 or 96, I don't remember. The big white Expedition, I'm sure you guys remember. But so the way the cruise control system worked, her cruise control stopped working for a long time. And then I diagnosed it to a brake pressure switch, which sat up on top of the master cylinder for, or like up on top of the master cylinder for the brake booster. That's where the switch sat, and it was a secondary fail-safe. Basically, if your brake on-off switch failed, it would use brake pressure. So the switch failed, so I bought an aftermarket one from O'Reilly's, and within, I kid you not, 2 weeks that sensor failed. The sensor was done. So I was like, you know what? I had enough, and I went on Rock Auto and I spent the extra $2 here. That's all we're talking about. I mean, I know I'm one to try to save money, but when it comes to vehicles, things that I really care about, I'm going to use what Ford tells me to use with the Ford part number, cross-reference it with the VIN to make sure it is the proper one, which I did on Ford parts, and order it on Rock Auto. You don't have to order this through Ford. Now, granted, there are some stuff that I have to buy from Ford, but this is not one of them. This sensor was like $12 compared to some of the other ones on Rock Auto for like $8. I'm not worried about that, because I want the peace of mind knowing that this sensor is going to last me another 10 years instead of, 2 weeks or even a year. I want this thing I want to get my money's worth. So that's my little bit on that. I'm sure you guys have heard that tons of times on my channel, and I'm a huge advocate for it, and just please do yourself a favor and do it that way. Yeah, so sensors are exactly the same, identical pretty much in every single way, height, gaskets, all that good stuff. So we're going to go and get ready to install this guy. Alright, so next step in, sorry, my freaking toolbox is a mess right now, sorry, but yeah. Anyway, the next step is to go ahead and lubricate this O-ring with some engine oil. And I just keep a little bottle of this, like a little eyedropper bottle, just for instances like this where I need to lubricate something really small and I'm not having to dip my finger in perfectly clean engine oil. So I'm going to get some of this, and I'm just going to coat the very outside to make sure that we completely seat this O-ring and we don't have any problems with it getting in. Just like that. And just run it with your fingers, get it nice and lubricated. Hunky-dory and happy. Alright, next step. We're going to move you guys back over to the truck. Just like that. So, again, I'll see if I can get you guys in there once I get it back in to kind of show you the location of the bolt, and then it's pretty easy to go from there. But alright. So, reverse procedure, so we're going to go ahead and put this back in, and then we're going to tighten the bolt down to, if you guys care, I know some people call me a torque Nazi, and that, do I really need one? I should just use the German torque, which is good and tight, but that's not how I like to do things, which the torque on this is 62 inch-pounds. So if anybody out there wants the torque spec on this, the proper torque spec, it's 62 inch-pounds, which yes, I'm going to torque it. I'm just simply getting the sensor A hooked up and B put back into its home. So the sensor is right up, or the harness connector is right back there. What the hell did I just drop? I did not like that noise. Damn it. I think I just dropped the bolt. Son of a bitch. I don't think I heard that hit the ground. I hate God. So we heard it click. I'm going to fish this down. And I'm going to get it back into its hole and line it up as carefully as possible, again, given the circumstances. With this frickin' harness in the way. So it's in the hole. And it's lined up, and she slid right in, no problem. So now I get to go bolt hunting to try to find the freaking bolt. God damn it. Believe it or not, I kind of like it like that. I don't know why. I just like searching for things. So, freaking flashlight. So, I'm going to go bolt hunting. I'm hoping and praying that that bolt hit the ground, but we'll... Alright, so I got our little friend back. It was... I barely managed to catch it. If I would have pushed a little bit harder and I tried to get it in there, like if I tried to pick it up with my finger, I would have had to tear my entire inner fender liner apart just to get to this bolt. So luckily I didn't have to, and I fished it out with a pair of needle nose. So yeah, another lesson of the day, don't leave your freaking bolt where it's going to fall in there. Damn it. Anyway, back to where we were. So, like I said, our harness is plugged back into the sensor, and the hole is lined up. And I've got my bolt, and I'm going to try to get my fat fingers in here and get it at least in the hole so that I can start threading it by hand. Which she is going in, so that's a good start. And I'm just going to verify that she's going in straight, which it is. And now I'm just going to work on getting this thing cinched down by hand with my extension. I really don't like the position of this thing.
Because, like I said, you've not only got this harness back here fighting you, but you've got a bunch of coolant lines that run into your intake manifold that are like right there that make it really freaking hard to get in there. But it's threading in by hand, and the only resistance that I'm getting again is from these fittings on the back of my intake here. You know what I'm going to try? I'm going to try to find, I'm either going to get a shorter socket or I'm going to try to find a shorter extension, because I think part of the problem is if I can get closer to the firewall, that might help. So I'm going to try that. A shorter socket first. So the bolt is now all the way seated. The sensor's flush with my valve cover, which is good. So now, now is going to be interesting because I need to get a 1/4 inch torque wrench on that 3/8, which I do have a reducer, but it's not going to work. God, I hate the position of this. I'm going to figure something out and then we'll come back. Once I get it figured out, then we'll go over the torquing of it. Alright, so I finally figured something out. I found a 3-inch extension and it fits in there really well. And so now I have my 1/4 inch torque wrench, which is set to 62 inch-pounds. And then one of the ways you can test just to make sure, just for shits and gigs if you want, you can just hold the torque wrench and push the head just to find out if it is working, which it is. So, and I've also got a adapter here that goes from 1/4 inch to 3/8, so I can use it on that extension, because I just don't have any extensions for 1/4 inch that are only 3 inches long. So it's kind of what I have to work with, but it's fine. So I'm simply just doing this for my own personal satisfaction. While this engine is running, this bolt is not going to back itself out. She's starting to get snug now. There you go. So now she's torqued. Everything is all hunky-dory. I'm going to try to fish this out of here without leaving my socket on there again, actually. Now I can't get my torque wrench off. There we go. And of course, it left behind my socket and my adapter, but I think I can get it. And, oh crap. Oh, it's just sitting there. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Sweet. Now we can start putting everything back together. So, we disconnected my map, my coil, or my ignition block, if you want to call it that, my coil distribution center, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to plug that back in. Always make sure your connections are good by double checking, because like I said, you don't really want this stuff coming off while you're driving. So now those two are now plugged back in, and now I'm going to try to fish for here's my vacuum line right here. So I'm going to plug that back into the back side of my intake manifold. And I just want to verify again that my cam sensor is plugged in. So I'm just going to push on it, even though we heard it click. I just want my own, like I said, my own personal satisfaction, just to double check. Never hurts to double check. So I'm just going to go through the steps now, just to make sure I did not miss anything. And then if not, we will reconnect and clean everything up and then start her up and see how she runs, if she runs. So going back to All Data DIY. So I reconnected the vacuum hose. I connected the camshaft position sensor to the electrical connector, and I installed a new sensor, torqued it to 62 inch-pounds, and I lubricated the O-ring seal. And the only thing left to do is to reconnect my battery, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to go over here this way, point you all down, and I'm just going to pull this up. There we go. Okay, she's not going anywhere. Now I'm going to try to show you guys the position of this camshaft sensor. So, God, it's so freaking difficult to see. I'm going to try to use like the shadow of the light, if that makes any sense at all. God damn it, light. Can't give somebody a seizure. And are you going to feel good about that? No, you're not. So it's literally, if you guys can see that wire coming off, this is my coil right here, my coil pack. That wire directly underneath it is the bolt for the cam sensor. And I'm trying to get in there to show you, but you see that base right there, the plastic base, and then that bolt right there? That's your camshaft position sensor. Right on that flat spot, right in there. So that's the bolt for it, and the sensor's sitting right there, and then in orientation of the camera here, the connector is going to the right, like the right hand corner of the screen. That's the way the sensor goes, is in this direction. So you just got to feed an extension through this way. Oh my God. And then you can get it out. But like I said, you have this fitting right here for your coolant hose in the way, and then that's our vacuum line we disconnected from the back of the manifold. So that's where it is. And yeah, so now I'm just going to give my truck a second to go, okay, I'm hooked back up now. I'm going to clean up all my tools, make sure I have good tool accountability. I don't have anything just chilling in the engine bay, and then we will get inside and make sure she turns over. Alright, so good start. I have electricity again. And so I don't kill myself, I'm opening up the garage door. I'm going to wait till it goes all the way up so I can just listen to anything. There we go. Okay, so I got all the normal noises that I should have gotten for, doing the battery. So, whoa, damn, she's surging. See that? She took off almost at like 2750. So I'm just going to let her run here for a little bit just to get orientated with this new sensor. And but at least we're running and there's no light, so we're good. And let's just make sure everything's on the up and up here. Now, there's no leaking out of the sensor, which is good. God damn it. Man, that was interesting. Maybe that sensor was on its way out. I don't know, but we'll see. Because over the last few days, I don't know if it's just been because, there's so many variables in an engine. Whether it's fuel, whether it's oil, whether it's compression, whether it's spark, and clogged fuel filter. There's so many variables as to why an engine may be running rough. And who knows, maybe this thing might actually be running a little bit smoother now once it gets acclimated to this new sensor. And it's like, oh, okay, this is actually what the camshaft's at. So maybe it could have been, and I'm just speculating here and spitballing, but maybe it could have been like 1/10 of a degree off. Who knows? I don't know. But for all I know, that sensor was still working because my truck was running fine. Was it running just a hair rough for my liking? Yeah. Was it running good though? Yeah. Not a single problem. So, but like I said, she's still running good. If you're wondering what that rattling is, I just have wire, so it's not like my truck's falling apart or anything. It's this wire. So I just like chicken wire back here, and I found this free cornhole set, so I'm gonna repaint that and make it all nice. But yeah, so like I said, I'm just gonna let it sit here in the garage and run for 10-15 minutes, and just go ahead and get used to reading that new sensor. And then you know, if anything changes or I notice like a huge drastic change once the fuel system goes into closed loop, once everything gets all warmed up and everything, I will be sure to let you know. But if it's just running normally, or if I haven't noticed any change, then we'll just cut the video here, and thanks for watching. But yeah, if anything changes, I'll edit it in here. So, but other than that, thank you guys for watching. This wasn't the best video because I can't get this bulky camera down into the backside next to my firewall as much as I wish I could, but I hope that it helps you if you need to replace your camshaft position sensor. Normally if you're replacing that, your truck's not running at all, but like I said, I'm doing this purely preventative and to give you guys some content. So yeah, take care guys.